We're hearing a lot of questions, right? A lot of questions in regards to the state of Nevada. A lot of Republicans are voting early. What does that mean? To give us the rundown, Jon Ralston from the Nevada Independent is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. He's going to be talking to us about that. And my question is, well, can it just be possible that these are people that were going to vote on Election Day anyway, and some of them are just voting early? So Republicans are starting to count their chickens, I think, a little bit too soon. So we'll talk a little bit about that with Jon Ralston. Then coming up at the bottom of the hour, Lev Parnas. I'm going to announce this publicly right now on the show. So Lev Parnas is going to be joining us in studio next week, but he's going to be joining us on the show today as well. And the reason why Lev Parnas is joining us on the show is because not only does he have a new book out, but I am going to be hosting an event with him in Las Vegas next week in regards to his new documentary that's out. We're going to be at Planet 13 next week. It'll be an opportunity to meet Lev Parnas, myself. So we'll give you a little bit more details about that as the week goes on. But, yeah, I'll be hosting an event with Lev Parnas next week. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And Lev Parnas is going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. Boy, did you hear about Rudy Giuliani? I mean, he's got to give up all of his assets, or most of them anyway. His car, his apartment in New York City. He's got to give that up this week. So we'll be talking to Lev about that and much, much more. But without further ado, always love picking this man's brain. Love what they do at the Nevada Independent. A bunch of great journalists over there, fair, decent, good people. And it is always a pleasure to have Jon Ralston from the Nevada Independent joining us right now on the show. John, I really do appreciate you coming on such a very busy time, I'm sure, for yourself and the Nevada Independent. How are you, sir?
I am barely awake, Brian, but I appreciate the invitation. But can I say one thing? Did I hear you say that you're talking to Lev Parnas?
I am at the bottom of the hour, and I'm actually hosting an event with him in Las Vegas next week.
I want you to do me a favor, if you can remember to do this.
Sure.
Ask him about his interactions with Adam Laxalt. See what you can find out.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do that just for you today, and then I will send you the clip. How does that sound? I will do that for you. No problem.
Thank you.
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much for coming on, John. Really appreciate your work. All right, let me ask you the big question right out of the gates. You've been giving out the numbers. You guys have been right on it with the early voting, and a lot of Republicans. The Republican turnout, I'm sure you would agree, has been pretty good. Give me the numbers. Tell me about it. And do you think some Republicans are counting their chickens too soon? And are these people that probably would just be voting on Election Day anyway? What are your thoughts?
You ask all the right questions as usual, Brian. You've done your homework. Listen, here's the story. I've never seen in the era of the Democrats winning presidential races here starting in 2008, this kind of turnout pattern that favors Republicans. They have about a 3% or so, and it's a little less than that now. I'm sorry I mentioned that there's not enough coffee in the world, but they have about a 3% lead. The rural counties are turning out in such force and in such landslides for Republicans that's why they have that lead right now. And the Democrats are not doing what they usually do, which is build up a firewall, as I call it, in Clark County. So if you're a Democrat, does that mean all is lost? No. That's not right. There's so many independents out there. The Democrats think they have an edge with independents, and they know how to turn out voters. As I said to someone earlier, it's basically the Reid machine versus Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk. Who are you going to put your money on in that battle? So I do think the Republicans, while they may be counting, as you put it, counting their chickens before they're hatched, I think there's something else going on. They're trying to create a narrative of inevitability after just a few days of early voting. They even put out a rumor today that Kamala Harris is pulling all her ads from Nevada. She's given up. It's all nonsense. So the Democrats still think they can win here. But here's what they think, Brian, based on the numbers, and the numbers aren't surprising them that much, is that it's going to be a 5,000 or 10,000 vote race. And I hope they're wrong, mainly because I want it to be decisive for all the reasons that I know you understand.
No, I agree 150%. So this is the tough part about this, John, and I don't know how there's a way to even find this out, but I'm thinking to myself, couldn't these just be Republicans that would normally vote on Election Day, and maybe they're voting early, right? That could be a possibility. I guess that's impossible to know for sure, right?
Well, a person that you and I both have a great deal of admiration for, Michael McDonald, the chairman of the state Republican Party, put out today that he is voting early for the first time in his life because he wants his vote to count.
At the J.D. Vance event, he said that, yep.
I mean, give me a break. I mean, first of all, raising the specter of election fraud again, but it's clear that they have made a pitch now. Let's bank our votes, which is usually what the Democrats do. So are they cannibalizing that election day vote, as you alluded to it, that usually favors them? And I mean, the Republicans had an 11% turnout advantage last cycle. That's pretty big. They usually have 4.5 or 5 point turnout advantage. So it'll be interesting to see how many rural voters turn out. They're already turning out in percentage terms, Brian, way above the urban counties. And people should know too, and at noon on is it Wednesday, Brian? That Washoe County has had some problems counting mail ballots, and that there's backlog there, and those will favor the Democrats.
Right. Now, this is my personal opinion on this, and I want to pick your brain on this. I don't know what's going to happen in this state. Could go either way, but I really think it comes down to Pennsylvania. And I'm not saying that Nevada is extremely important. I'm not discounting that, but I really feel like, and this is just my personal opinion, that whoever wins Pennsylvania is probably going to win the Electoral College. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's probably true, and I think both campaigns think that, and it's why they're expending so much energy there. It has the most electoral votes of all the battleground states. Now, there are other paths to victory, but if you lose Pennsylvania, you have absolutely zero margin for error, and you've got to win states that maybe you're not winning right now. So, yeah, I mean, I don't like to say any state matters as much as Nevada, as you know, but right. Pennsylvania really matters.
Oh, no question about that. And, you know, all the hard hitters have been here, right, John? I mean, last week I saw Obama speak. Yesterday I met Bill Clinton. He was at Doolittle Community Center in Las Vegas. J.D. Vance spoke this morning. Donald Trump is going to be holding a rally at the Thomas and Mack Center tomorrow. Dr. Jill Biden was in town today. In fact, I drove past her motorcade earlier this morning. I mean, this is crazy, isn't it, John? I mean, we always see before an election the heavy hitters coming out, but not as much as – have you ever seen this much?
I guess I have a hard time remembering that it's been this much. There have been so many Democratic surrogates that have been coming out here this cycle, and we don't cover most of them just because it's just not really that newsworthy. You know, Kamala Harris is wonderful, you know, all that stuff. Okay, we know that's what you think. But the actual candidates themselves making a late push, it's happened. But, you know, Waltz is going to be in Nevada on Sunday. Right. I hear that the vice president might be back here next week, which is a sign they clearly have not given up on Nevada. And so there have been a lot of visits, and they know it's close. Their internal numbers show what Trump's internal numbers show, which is it's very, very close.
What would you say to Republicans out there throughout the country that believe that Nevada, it's a done deal? It's a done deal, and Donald Trump is going to win the state of Nevada based on all of, I know I'm going back to that first question, but based on all of the numbers that are in with early voters. I gave you my opinions, and you've given out the numbers. What would you say to those Republicans out there that are claiming victory already?
I think it's very, very foolish. But again, and you have, you know, there's two separate kinds of people who are doing that, Brian. One are the morons on social media who don't know any better and want to, you know, put out, oh, poor Democrats, they're going to lose Nevada and blah, blah. You know, you got to cope. I mean, it's so insipid. It's not really worth saying much more than that. And then there are the operatives who want to put out there that he's doing really well here to energize the base here and elsewhere. Republicans want to vote for a winner. If they think Trump is going to win, maybe those that haven't voted will vote now. But there is no one who understands this stuff, including Republicans who understand this stuff, that thinks this is over yet. Would I rather be the Republicans than the Democrats right now? Of course. Yeah. Of course, there's no other way to look at it. But does that mean that I give you a different answer maybe 7-10 days from now? Maybe. Sure, absolutely. A couple more quick questions for you. Again, if you're just joining us, Jon Ralston does a great job for the Nevada Independent. So, John, I guess, you know, I've had, call me cynical, but, you know, even the John Kelly stuff that's come out in the last 24 hours, I don't think it matters what Donald Trump says or does. I don't think it's going to change the outcome of what's going to happen here in a couple of weeks, but I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you think it matters at all? I mean, listen, I think John Kelly's very credible. Don't get me wrong. And I believe him when he calls Donald Trump a fascist or alludes that he's a fascist, and the praising of Adolf Hitler and the suckers and losers and all this stuff.
I think it's very credible because I believe that's who Donald Trump is. But do you think any of this stuff is going to make a difference for voters at this point, 2 weeks before the elections?
Well, I don't know who these undecided voters are, right, Brian? Like, how can you be undecided in this race?
Right.
But that's a different issue. So if undecided voters are, Trump curious, don't know Harris that well, just know that what's been on TV, that, she's a communist and all the rest of it. They're looking for a reason to vote for her instead of Trump. And so if this puts them over the top on that, maybe it could help. But, it seems to me that all of that stuff is pretty baked in. I mean, as you put it, that's who Donald Trump is. He doesn't even try to hide it at all. It's gotten worse, I think, and he has absolutely no self-control anymore in the stuff that he says. But can it help at the margins? I mean, let me go back to what I said. If this is a 5 or 10,000 vote race, it's gonna be hard to pinpoint why someone won. Was it the abortion? Was it immigration? Was it Trump's a terrible person? Was it Harris can't do the job? Whatever. Was it the independents breaking the wrong way, not turning out enough? Whatever. There's still so many wild cards out there. That's what's different for me in analyzing this. Usually by now I'm saying the Democrats have a 40 or 50,000 vote lead in Nevada. They're banking votes. The Republicans are going to have a tough time catching up on election day. It's a totally new world for me.
If the elections were held tomorrow, will you give a prediction? Do you think that Donald Trump wins the state? If you had to give a prediction, what do you think is going to happen?
The great thing is I don't have to.
That's true.
So I do this crazy thing, as you know, Brian, every cycle. I predict the outcomes 3 days before the election. And I'll still do that, even though I wish I had done the mic drop in 22 when I predicted Lombardo and Cortez Masto. But listen, I think if the election were just these votes that are out there now, I think Trump probably has an advantage. It all depends on what she's winning in these by. And there's one other thing it depends on. It depends on how much he's hemorrhaging off of his base. In other words, are there Lynn Cheney type Republicans who are voting for Harris? I just don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, and that's understandable. Last question for you. Are you worried about political violence? Because, no matter who wins, there's going to be a lot of people, half the country, maybe more, are going to be upset, right? I'm a little bit more worried if Kamala Harris wins of political violence. Are you worried, John, that we're not going to find out the outcome of the election? Probably not that night, probably not the next day. It could take weeks. Does that bother you? Does that worry you?
Both. It really worries me. I think there's a very good chance we don't know the outcome of the election on election night. We may not know who won Nevada on election night, and we can expect a replay of 2020 when Trump declares victory and essentially says, stop the count. And so, I'm very worried about how his followers will react to all of that. I don't think we should discount the possibility of violence on the other side if Trump wins, but we've already seen January 6th and who did that. I'm hoping that if Trump were to win, the Democrats would not behave that way, but it's going to depend on a lot of different circumstances.
I agree. Before I let you go, I love what you guys do at the Nevada Independent, John. Have so much respect for you. Can you give out the information? How can people donate? How can people learn more and support what you guys are doing at the Great Nevada Independent?
Thanks for that, Brian. You always give me a chance to say this. I'm so proud of this staff and their dedication to presenting fair and deeply reported stories. People should go to NevadaIndependent.com. Don't take my word for it. And if you believe me, if you find out that I'm right, hit that support our work button. Give us $5, $10, $20 a month. That's how we survive into the future.
No doubt. And whenever I need the latest information on anything political news when it comes to this state, I'm always going to Nevada Independent. You guys do such a great job. John, thank you so much for your time as always, man. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, brother. Get some sleep.
It's always a pleasure. I want to hear about that Parnas question.
I will. I will send you a message later, and I will ask that question about Adam Laxalt. John, have a great rest of your day, my friend. Appreciate the hard work. Thank you.